My name is Robert. I'm 89 years old. I'm recording this because there's something I need to say out loud. Something I should have understood a long time ago. It's about my wife. Margaret. She died 6 years ago. And for most of those 6 years, I thought I knew what happened between us. I thought I understood our marriage, our life together, the way things ended. But I didn't. Not really. It took me until now, sitting in this house alone, going through her things for the 100th time, to finally hear what she was trying to tell me. And by then, of course, it was far too late. We were married for 52 years. That's a long time. Long enough that people assume you must have figured each other out. Long enough that I stopped questioning whether I really knew her. I thought I did. Margaret was quiet. She didn't complain much. She kept the house running, raised our 2 daughters mostly on her own while I worked long hours at the plant. She seemed content. Or at least, I told myself she was. I provided. I was faithful. I came home every night. I thought that was enough. And maybe, for a while, it was. But somewhere along the way, I don't know exactly when, something shifted. She started saying things I didn't quite understand. Little things. Like, do you ever wonder what it would have been like if we'd stayed in Boston? We'd moved from Boston to Ohio in 1978 for my job. It was a good opportunity. Better pay. I thought she was fine with it. Or she'd say, I used to paint, you know. Before the girls were born. I knew that. I'd seen her paintings once or twice, early on. Landscapes, mostly. She was good. But life got busy. Kids, bills, routines. I assumed she'd moved on from it. She'd mention these things in passing, while washing dishes, folding laundry, sitting beside me on the couch. And I'd nod. Say something like, yeah, that was a long time ago, or, we did what we had to do. And that would be the end of it. I didn't realize she was trying to tell me something. I thought she was just reminiscing. The last 10 years of her life, she got quieter. Not in an obvious way. She still talked, still asked about my day, still made dinner every night. But there was a distance. I chalked it up to age. To the girls being gone, the house feeling emptier. I thought maybe she was tired. I was tired too. One evening, it must have been about a year before she got sick, we were sitting in the living room. The TV was on, but neither of us was really watching. She turned to me and said, Robert, do you think we were happy? I looked at her. What do you mean? She didn't answer right away. Just looked down at her hands. Then she said, I don't know. I just wonder sometimes. I didn't know what to say to that. It felt like a strange question. We'd been together for decades. We had a life. Of course we were happy. So I said, we did all right, didn't we? She nodded slowly. Yeah. We did all right. And that was it. I should have asked her what she meant. I should have sat there and really listened. But I didn't. I went back to watching the TV. Margaret got sick in the fall of 2017. Pancreatic cancer. By the time they found it, it had already spread. They gave her 6 months. She lasted 4. Those last months, I took care of her as best I could. I drove her to appointments, sat with her during treatments, made sure she had her medication. I thought I was being a good husband. But looking back, I realize I was still just doing tasks. I was managing her illness the way I'd managed everything else in our life, efficiently, quietly, without asking too many questions. She didn't talk much toward the end. The pain made it hard. But there were moments when she'd look at me with this expression I couldn't quite read. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even sadness, exactly. It was something else. Something I didn't have a word for. 1 Mig.
She died on a Tuesday morning in March. Quietly. In her sleep. I held her hand and told her I loved her, even though I don't think she could hear me anymore. And then she was gone. The funeral was small. Our daughters came. A few neighbors. Some people from church. Everyone said the usual things. She was a lovely woman. You were lucky to have each other. I nodded and thanked them. But inside I felt hollow. Not because she was gone, I'd prepared myself for that as much as anyone can. But because of what she'd said that night. I wanted you to know me. I couldn't stop hearing it. For the first few years after she died I kept busy. I sold the house and moved into a smaller place. I visited the girls, spent time with the grandkids. I kept Margaret's things in boxes in the garage, her clothes, her books, some old photo albums. I told myself I'd go through them eventually. But I didn't. I think part of me didn't want to. Then, about a year ago, my daughter Emily came to visit. She was helping me clean out the garage and she found one of the boxes. "Dad, what's in here?" she asked. I looked over. It was labeled Margaret, personal. "Just some of your mother's things," I said. Emily opened it. Inside were notebooks. Dozens of them. "What are these?" she asked, pulling one out. I didn't know. I'd never seen them before. She opened one and started reading. Her face changed. "Dad, these are journals." I didn't read them right away. Emily left them on the kitchen table and I avoided them for days. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid of what I'd find. But eventually, late one night when I couldn't sleep, I sat down and opened the first one. It was dated 1981. Margaret's handwriting. Neat, careful. The first entry was short. "Moved into the new house today. Robert seems happy with it. The girls are adjusting. I miss Boston more than I thought I would." I kept reading. Entry after entry. Year after year. She wrote about the girls. About the house. About her days. And she wrote about me. Not in a bitter way. Not even in an angry way. Just, honestly. "Robert worked late again tonight. I know he's trying to provide for us. But sometimes I wish he'd just sit with me. Not to talk about bills or schedules. Just to sit. I tried to tell him today that I've been thinking about taking a painting class. He said that sounded nice, but I could tell he wasn't really listening. I didn't bring it up again. The girls are grown now. The house is so quiet. I don't know what to do with myself anymore. I feel like I'm disappearing and I don't think Robert even notices." I read for hours. Page after page of her life. Her thoughts. Her loneliness. And the worst part, the part that broke me, was realizing she'd been trying to tell me all of it. All those little comments I'd brushed off. All those questions I'd never really answered. She'd been reaching out over and over and I just nodded and moved on. There was one entry near the end. Dated about a month before she got sick. I don't think Robert ever really saw me. Not the real me. He saw the wife, the mother, the person who kept everything running. But the part of me that wanted more, that needed more, I don't think he ever wanted to know that part. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe I should have been louder. But I was raised to be quiet. To not ask for too much. I love him. I do. But I think I've been lonely for a very long time. I had to stop reading. I sat there at the kitchen table holding that notebook and I cried. Not because she was gone. But because I'd had her right there beside me for 52 years, and I'd never really known her. I think about that a lot now. How easy it is to live beside someone and assume you understand them. How easy it is to hear words and not really listen. Margaret wasn't asking me to fix anything. She wasn't asking me to change our entire life. She just